Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today I had a great conversation with Jenny Steele, a writer, producer, director, actress, host, literally does it all. She is fantastic. I met her a few months ago at the first Alberta Indie Film Throwdown, and she just oozes positivity and has such a good vibe. So I was really excited to chat with her. We're going to talk all about how she got into this industry, what's it like hosting, advice for other people who host. It was great to chat with someone who kind of has the same idea of what I go through. So that was fantastic. That I was like, oh my God, I can relate to you. This is great. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about fashion. She's done a few programs involving fashion. We're going to talk about some celebrities and their looks. And yeah, it's just a great, fun conversation. So please enjoy my conversation with Jenny Steele. All right, Jenny, I'm so excited to chat with you. You're first of all, your vibe is just positivity, and I love that.
Oh, Craig, thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. I'm so happy you reached me because I know we met at a film event a few months ago, and we've been trying to connect. So I'm really happy to be here and talk with you today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to chat with you. I've been reading up all about you, and I'm so excited because writer, director, host, producer, actress, everything. But I want to start off with young Jenny. What was young Jenny watching, consuming, people, movie shows? What was it that you were watching that you were going, ooh, I think I want to do this?
That's an amazing question. Young Jenny grew up as a dancer. Has lived in the dance studio. I was a dancer from the time I was 3 years old. Ballet and jazz were the main disciplines I did. So my mom said, like, literally from the time I could walk, I was dancing. So performing, I think, was just something I always enjoyed, loved being on the stage. That was my everything. And to be totally honest, this career was not in my sights at all. I wanted to be a pediatrician. From the time I was young, I was going to be a doctor. And so I did all the sciences in school. I went to university and got my biological science degree, was going to write the MCAT. I took a year off once I got my BS to go travel with one of my best friends, Katie. We went to London, to Spain. And then I was feeling a little, to be honest, so undergrad totally just kind of fried me. And I was like, I don't really know if I have it in me to do med school. And then I swear to God, struck blind, and it was luck. I got asked to dance in a music video. I will not tell you which one because you're not going to go look for it. But I'm even that in the past. But it was from that video that a production company, Pyramid Productions, called me up and asked me to audition to host a show. I bombed clearly because I'd never done any sort of on-camera hosting, but they saw potential in me and hired me as production assistant. And all of my training for film and TV started out on the job. So it wasn't a career path that I would go to, but honest to God, Craig, it just felt like it was the right place, the right time. And it's one of those jobs where I feel like I'm able to kind of in all of my skills. Like I love performing, which is hosting. I love performing, which is acting. I think, am I using my degree? No, but I think to be a successful producer, you have to have those organizational skills and know how to learn and take in everything and apply it. And so I just feel like this wasn't yet Yanni's dream, but young Jenny is so happy that she found this because I honestly didn't know what was next for me after I got that degree. I was feeling super lost. Feel like this job has just given me everything I could have hoped for, and more.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I think people need to have a flexibility in life. You see too many people get stressed and burnt out when they have this like career path, plans for their life, okay, by this age I'm going to be married and I'm going to have this many kids. But you need to be open for those doors that will just be open for you and go, maybe I should go down this way because you never know what's going to come from it.
Well, that's exactly it. And I was panicking because I had this, track vision of I'm going to be a doctor and that's it. And then all of a sudden you get to the stage in your life where you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. what's next for me? Because to be honest, a biological science degree is very, very like acute. Like you can only use it for so many things. And I was like, oh crap, I don't know what I'm going to do next. So yeah, this opportunity came. I jumped at it. And it was a big, huge learning curve, but it was, yeah, just stay to any opportunities that come your way because you just never, ever know.
Yeah. And I like that again, you wear all these different hats. And you said, most of your training has come from on the job, um, being the production assistant and learning all this stuff, then doing some more acting and getting that thing. Um, what is one of like the earliest skills that you remember learning on the job in this industry?
Hosting.
Yeah.
So that would be because that's what they hired me for was to be an on-air host. So it was hosting a show called the DVD Show. So back when DVDs were a thing.
Yes.
And seriously, I'm aging myself. Um, oh, it was hosting. And so my biggest thing was on-camera hosting. And then from there, I started producing, small segments on other big shows. And then I started producing entire shows, which was incredible. Writing, got my directing experience there. So, but hosting was the number one thing. And that's also just led me to all of the event hosting I do in the city, because once you host it on camera, um, it's just, and performing on stage, those two elements are kind of how the hosting events in the city came to be as well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, I was reading up about stylography, and then I saw you were also a part of Celebrity Style Story. Was fashion always like, I mean, with dance, growing up in dance, obviously you have these costumes, you have these looks, but was fashion always a role? And has it been so exciting that you can use your love of fashion and do stuff like this?
Oh my God, absolutely. And I think what it came from is wearing costumes. As a young dancer, you're always dressing up in different costumes, becoming different characters on the stage, right? So I think always, being in costume as a kid led to, and don't get me wrong, junior high, I was the girl in sweatpants and a hoodie every single day. And that,
Yeah.
it was just kind of who I was back then. And I think fashion became kind of something I always enjoyed, but definitely got more into with my job because, being on camera, it's having, bright colors are kind of my thing. And I just like I've always felt like my style is more just, I feel like energy. Energy is kind of my jam. And I want my style to be vibrant, colorful, a little pop of color. And so I think it's also how you express who you are is what you wear. I'm not wearing anything that's super crazy brand labels, runways. But I just always love when I go out, just being like, oh, that's just a bit different, or I love how much color she wears. And so I think fashion just becomes part of who you work in this industry because it's kind of when you're out and about so often, you've got to dress the part.
Yeah, yeah, that's important. I mean, it's different.
To be fair, but to be fair, I'm also gonna say when I'm not out and about, I'm at home in my sweatpants like I'm wearing right now and hoodies and my Uggs. Like it's my husband was last like, but you are all or nothing. There's not a lot of in between. You're either glammed up or literally like a fucking like I rolled out of bed.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the things that I've learned as the past few years as I've grown as like a host and hosting events is like when I'm at home, I'm so much more just like shorts and t-shirt, hoodies, just let's relax and get comfy because I'm like, oh, now I have a job where I have to actually look, professional and nice and good and stuff.
Exactly. And it does take a lot of energy to dress up and to be on and be at the events that when you're not doing that, you're kind of like the opposite. It's like, okay, now it's just time to chill. For instance, I hosted an event this past Tuesday. You get dressed up, you're interacting with people, you come home and it feels amazing. But the next morning, I just want to stay in my hoodie, have my coffee, and just take a moment to decompress because it is all or nothing, right? So you just have to make sure you've got that time to, recoup and rest.
Yeah, and I think if people aren't in a job where you have to really be on for a couple of hours and engage a whole room, people don't understand. Like my friends are always like, I can't believe you're just going to like a movie by yourself in the afternoon. I was like, I need to just get out of my head for 2 hours because I just spent the night hosting for 100 people and having to make that energy go up, right? You need those moments to just know this is me, nobody else.
Well, that's that you said perfectly. There's something about hosting that I would say out of all the hats I wear, that's the one that can almost take the most energy because the second you arrive, you're interacting, you're engaging with people. And for me, when I'm hosting an event, I want every person there to feel like they connected with whether it's myself or the panelists or the event. Which takes have to bring a personal aspect to it. It's not just going out there and reading a script. That's not get you more gigs. You have to leave an impression. And that's why hosting to me, I take it so personally and I'm hard on myself. I'm really hard on my hosting because I want to leave and go, okay, I did the best job I could. If I flub up a line, I'm thinking about it all night. And it's ridiculous
Yeah.
because no one delivered perfectly, but I just take hosting very seriously because it's a live event,
Mhm.
and it's up to you to keep the flow of the evening. So it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, and like I mean, you and I'm like I love chatting with someone who knows exactly what's going on because sometimes I say to people, I'm like, hey, like, all right, if you let me know if we need to cut something, if you need me to expand, like there's a lot of on the fly moments because it is hundreds of people, even if it's just 50 people, it can just change what people have allotted for time.
Oh, you have to be ready to be on the ball. I did an event last summer. I'm doing it again this year, and the amount of changes that were coming in literally as I'm walking up to the podium. But I'm like, okay, you got this, and you just roll with it. And if you give up, you can joke about it. But that's something I've learned to take with grace as I've been doing more and more events. Is sometimes people just those human moments are actually what stick with them the most. Is they like seeing you flub up and recover. And it doesn't have to be perfect because then it's more relatable. It's like, oh, you're just up there doing, doing your best and, being a human being. So I've also learned perfection is not sometimes the best way to go about it. Be real,
Yeah.
have those muck ups and your mistakes, laugh about it. The audience will be far more receptive than just trying to be that robot and getting everything perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so hosting obviously can be, fun, exciting, stressful because there's a lot of changes at the moment. When it comes to acting, do you find that's a moment for you to kind of, okay, like it's a little bit more scripted, we can do takes, what do you really enjoy about acting?
Acting is my happy place. When I'm on set, it's just something about, I think it is because acting for me is the closest to dance and performing because it's usually with a group. I kind of compare it to choreography because instead of learning a dance, you're learning your lines and you're blocking. And it's like you said, you can do more than one take. Of course, you go prepared, but you're also feeding off of the other actor. There's something about that energy on a set with the right crew, right directors. I just finished a short film, and when we wrapped, it brought us all to tears because you spent so much time together. You're up and downs. It's stressful. You're on time crunches. It's exhausting mentally and physically. But my God, when you're done, it's the feeling like, holy crap, we just made something amazing together and you can't wait for the world to see it. But acting is hands down my happy place. And I just think every audition you do, there's so many. You get so many no's. But through self-tapes, taking classes, it's the most rewarding feeling when you do get that yes, because they are few and far between. And I find acting's also the newest thing that I've done. I've only been doing since COVID. It was something I took up because obviously work was getting slower.
Mhm.
And so one of my girlfriends was like, have you ever thought about getting an agent? And I was like, no, I've been working at a production company, doing contract work. She's like, just get one. And it opened up a whole new world to me with, commercials, movies, show. And it's just that it fills my heart because it brings me the closest to being on stage again.
Yeah.
And performing is something I'll always want to do. So I'm so happy I found acting.
I'm also always interested to talk with parents who are performers because I want to know, like, when you're taking on a role, um, something like horror related, or it's a very dramatic, heavy scene, does having kids, going home to kids does it make it easier to leave? Because some of that stuff, scenes, dialogue, there's just heaviness that is can be hard for an actor to sometimes just shake off getting into the car. Does coming home to the kids is that something that helps you?
Big time. Big time. It helps me in both aspects. I find if I have to do an emotional scene, I instantly think of my kids and my family. And I think of I put myself in a place where if the character is getting hurt, oh my gosh, if one of my kids got hurt, instant tears. I find it so easy to draw on emotions once I'm thinking of my family. But like you said, those heavy days, I just wrapped a super heavy short. And coming home to your little ones and your husband and your home is just like, first of all, they're always so excited to ask about it. So I'm telling them about it. I showed them the special effects that they thought was super cool. And then it reminds you like, okay, perspective. This is work. I'm not bringing this home with me. My family's always number one. And it's just something where they keep me so, so grounded. So there to support me during the hard times. My husband's like my number one cheerleader. That poor guy has done more self-tapes with me than any human being should have to, but he's my number one cheerleader. And you know what too, Craig, my boys, it's hard to juggle that mom guilt sometimes, with long set days or being away for shoots, but they always like, Mom, we're so proud of you. And we love watching you and your job and your career and how well you're doing. And they actually work with me too, husband and sometimes on shoots. And so yeah, having kids and my husband who support me and I can come home to and debrief it's very easy to leave all of that behind. But I also use them to draw on so many emotions, which is so helpful too.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to, it just gets you a little easier into that frame of mind when you're like, I can actually relate to this. I know exactly
Mhm.
what I would be feeling. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and then you just start going down, what if this actually happened? You're like, wait a minute, no, it's too much.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, get out. It's space out. Yeah, I know. It is. That's where it becomes really emotionally exhausting.
And so also as someone who wears, again, we've mentioned so many hats, is it easy for you to step on set knowing you're going just to be an actor when you have a directing background, you have producer? Is it easy for you, or sometimes you're going, what about?
There are times where you're going, oh, I might have done this differently on set if it was in my hands. But you know what? I find all that relief of going to a set as just an actor, where you're not thinking about all the things a producer has to think about or a director. You're just there to play your part. And sometimes the set days as an actors are the most stress-free ones for me because I'm like, I'm here for this part. I'm not in charge of a number of people today. I'm in charge of myself and my performance. And I find being on set, maybe that's why it's my happy place because it's the least stressed I feel out of all the different hats I wear is being an actor because I think I'm just for which I know that sounds kind of selfish, but when you're only in charge of yourself, it's a huge it's a lot you don't carry as much.
Yeah.
The producer, director, writer, all those you're in charge of a bunch more people and a lot of more people depend on you. So
Yeah, I did want to ask again about stylography, and because you directed that as well. Is it different directing where it's more like documentary interviews? Because you were talking about different celebrity styles. Is that different than like do you find a big difference between directing a fully scripted like fictional story?
yeah, completely. Because when you're once again, a show like Stylography, when you're doing sit down interviews with celebrities, you have to connect with that subject. It's not just hear the questions. You want to make them feel comfortable. You want to get stories out of them that nobody else has got out of them. So it's almost, I would say, interview skills when I'm directing shows like that because you're interviewing. Whereas a script, it's getting performances of people. So it's completely different. And stylography for us, it was getting the interviews with celebrities and getting the different interview clips from the celebrities that we already had in the library and putting it all together and coordinating the interviews, the sets, the travel. So that's all different. Whereas right now, We've got a few things in the works. Some of them I could talk about, some of them I can't, but it's fully scripted. It's getting the showrunners, the writers, the production behind it, art department. There's way more in the works with scripted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas doc and like stylography, the way it was shot was more, I would almost say stylography felt more like producing a doc because it was more interview based,
Yeah.
an archival footage. Yeah.
Um, well, we're talking about celebrities and styles. Who are some that you've always admired for their looks? And then who are some people nowadays? Like, we just had the Grammys, the Oscars are happening next month. We're seeing we've seen all the Golden Globes and stuff like that. So who are some that are just timeless that you've just always been a fan of, and who, like, nowadays you're like, oh, this person is going to continue to knock it out of the park?
Oh my goodness. Well, when I was young, Sarah Jessica Parker was always this icon for me, and I also love that she was a dancer. She was this like in the opening, wearing her little tutu. She was just this stylish ballerina that owned New York City, and I got the chance to interview her for one of her junkets. She was even more lovely person, and we connected but based on our dance background, and it was just this instant like, oh my God, you're even cooler than I could have pictured. So Sarah Jessica Parker has always been a standout to me. I would say Zoe Saldana is someone I look up to. She is just this force. I connect with her on so many different levels. I've always looked up to her. I think Avatar was the first time I really noticed her, but her performances just get better and better. She's one of the top paid actresses now, and I think she's just someone who, it's just to see her and look up to someone like that. Because even my mom, she's like, I see so many qualities in her that as a kid I know why you look up to her. And yeah, she's a big standout for me as well. Who else these days? Oh God, there's so many powerhouses when it comes to women in TV and film. My goodness, you put me on the spot here. I'm trying to think right now who to be some of my standouts. I mean, obviously there's, legends like Meryl Streep, Catherine O'Hara, you know, recently passed, and she's one of those people who I think every person in this industry thought of her as their TV mom. She, from her humor to her talent to she just had this genuine way about her that even when she was acting, you're like, that's who she is in real life. And so I just think there's so many incredible women in film and TV right now that, yeah, there's a lot of inspiring women out there that people can look.
It's a great time. I think there's still so much work to be done, but I think the roles that women are getting, the shows, movies, they're fantastic. They're the focal point. It's not just, if it is the role of the wife, it is because they've got there's something with that story there. It's not just this is the wife. And there's been so many great roles going on right now that's been fantastic. And you're seeing it with, like, the movie Sinners is one of my favorite movies in such a long time, and everybody in that. And, you talk about Michael B. Jordan playing dual roles, which is fantastic, but then you have all these other actresses in there that are just crushing it. And the actresses in one battle after another, even Gwyneth Paltrow and Marty Supreme, like, she's given quite a bit to do. Like, it's a great time right now for female roles, I think.
I agree. And it's just, and female directors, like we're seeing more and more come out of woodwork. And I feel this is a time where women in film are just on the up and up. And it is so incredible to see. And it's just, Barbie, that movie was just
so good.
It was so good in so many ways for young girls, for young women, for young female directors. It just was this moment I felt in film that everybody in the world saw. It was, that was something that I'm really happy that we're seeing more projects like that come out.
Yeah, and Chloe Zhao, director of Hamnet, I went and saw it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna.
Oh, seen yet? Have you?
I saw it and I went and I was like, I don't know, like, I know it's about, like, Shakespeare and how he wrote Hamlet. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be for me. I'll go see it. I haven't been so moved by a movie like that in such a long time. Like, the the movie ended and the lights were coming up, and I was just sitting there, and it was so good. And
Mhm.
Chloe Zhao did such an amazing job. And she's nominated for Best Director. If she wins, she'd be the first female to win twice for Best Director, and I think that's incredible.
Oh my gosh, you're the second, like one of my best friends, Mike, who I take his movie critiques very, very seriously because he's a movie buff. He said the same thing. He's like, you have to see this movie. He's like, it's something that changed my life. He's like, and how I left the theater a different person. And okay, so now I found I have to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what are type of is there any type of roles you really want to sink your teeth into, or do you want to do more comedy or more romantic stuff, more horror? Like, what are you kind of manifesting as we're, starting 2026 out?
You know what, Craig? I'm manifesting all of the above. I just feel like it, and for an actor to really get to the next level, it's getting a feel for all of those things, you know? And I, I would love to do a romantic role. I would love to do a comedy role. I just finished up a horror thriller, which was incredible, and I hope there's more to come. And I just think each area pushes you in so many different ways, you know? I find, I've got one coming up, where I'm going to be kind of I would say like a boss, like the high fashion boss, kind of Devil Wears Prada-ish. I
Mm.
love those roles because I feel like I get to dress like how I want to and command through, which is something I love to do. And it's those roles kind of typically come to me, but I'd love to play something out of my wheelhouse. And, I just played a mom and a killer. It was so new. It challenged me in every single way. But the special effects were so freaking cool. And the sets were cool. And yeah, honestly, Craig, all of it. I just think, especially for my boy, I love to see me in all these different roles, just to show the variety. And an actor, you want all those on your resume because the more you have, the more work you're going to get. So I wouldn't say there's one I'm, dying for in particular. Think comedy is the most challenging. I'm hoping to get a comedic series up and running here, and that would be one that I grew up. SNL has been my husband and I have been watching SNL for years, and comedy is just something that it can be the hardest, but also again one of the most rewarding projects to work on because comedic writing and comedic acting is so particular for it to work and is one of the hardest areas I would say for an actor to succeed in. So um, a comedy would be pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, SNL, I mean, and the women of SNL, those have always been my favorite. Like, I listen to Amy Poehler's podcast, her and Tina Fey. Maya Rudolph, I think, is one of the biggest
Yes.
geniuses of all time. Like, even just like her
Yeah.
role as the judge on The Good Place, she's just so good.
I know. I know. And those, I just find like even I think my youngest on S was Molly Shannon. And she was just, her superstar. And like she just had this her body, I remember being like, there's just doubles. She did everything on her own and she was so out there over the top. She was like, oh, Molly Shannon was probably my first. And then of course, oh my God, my brain right now. Kristen Wiig.
Oh, yeah.
She's my next favorite.
Yeah.
She is, I mean, she's not there anymore, but
Yeah.
for years on SNL were some of my favorites.
Mo-
She's captivating.
Molly Shannon, I was watching an episode of Will and Grace last night, and Molly Shannon was guest starring because she appeared a few times, and she's just so good and just elevated everybody else to this next level because she just is so insane and she commits 110%, and I freaking love her.
That's the perfect put. She commits 110%. There is no in between. She is all in at the cost of body, at the cost of anything. Like she's just, yeah, she's such a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. Would you like as you're doing comedy, would you want to do like physical stuff? Do you do stunts? Do you want to do that stuff? Or you're like, let's leave that to the professionals?
You know what? I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, let's leave it to the professionals. So I think because I was a dancer my whole life, I've got some injuries that I'm still trying to overcome. And they've been a bit of a struggle trying to get back to certain things. And I just think, especially where I'm at in my life, that my health and my mobility is so important to me. Being a is number one, that I just feel like I'm not to be trained in that area right now it's not really appealing to me. I just like, would it be cool? Maybe, but not at this stage of my life. I don't think it's worth it for me to get hurt. And then all of a sudden, like, I've had those, we're a big family of snowboarders. And I've had a few wipeouts that have me, kind of immobile for a bit. Like, it's not worth it. And even now the boys are like, oh, Mom, you're so slow. You're not keeping up. I'm like, you know what? I'm here on the hill. I don't want to get hurt. I know I'm staying in my lane. Yeah. So yeah, I think when it comes to stunts and like, certain I would, but I'm not willing to put my body at risk at this stage. I'm like, I got to be in mama bear mode. And I don't want to, if I'm going to be away from the kids, I don't want to come home and then not be able to do all the things I need to do as a mom.
That's very fair. And when you're snowboarding with them, you could just say, I'm just trying to give you more independence. Go on your own.
Let's swing it that way, right? Yeah. Well, you have to go free. Go free. I know. Usually now it's we snowboard together in the morning, and then by the end, my husband and I will just pray, and they'll just rip till the end of the day because they're just, they outrun us by a landslide now.
Yeah. As we start to wrap up, I wanted to talk to you because I always like to talk with the guest about this. Like, what do you think about this film industry in Alberta? Like, there's a reason why people say so many good things about it. What do you think about this industry?
I think it's one of those industries that every single year it gets bigger and better. And it does because we're all coming together as a community. And I think, you're a part of some of these film events in the city. There's just this feeling, I would say just the most recent years where, because let's be honest, this industry can be very competitive. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people in the beginning kind of look at it as you're competing for the roles, you're competing for, sets, even makeup artists will say, oh, it's so hard to get on this set. But everyone is realizing that when you work together, help each other out, word of mouth, collaborate, it's only getting bigger and better. And this city, Alberta, like we are on the map, and more people, like more productions are shooting here. If all goes well, we're going to have some projects that are based here and just keep going, and I just keep hungry to get more and more stuff made here. And it's not just coming here to make it and leaving. Albertans are making Alberta films, and that's so to see. And we're all trying to keep it local. Let's hire more local talent. We've got an incredible talent pool here. It's just, and I think we're slowly getting on the map. It took a while there, but it's not all Toronto and Vancouver. Calgary has some insane talent. So let's give them those opportunities as well. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Everyone here works so damn hard.
Well, and the first time we met was at the very first Alberta Indie Film Throwdown, because there's so many shorts, and like we got this third one coming up on Valentine's Day here. And I think Dallas was saying that there's like 28 actuals. There was a lot more submissions, but things that didn't work, they weren't Alberta. People weren't listening. But there was like 28 submissions for this that haven't been at the previous ones. It's crazy.
And you know what? And thank goodness now they have a place to showcase them, because there's so much blood, sweat, and tears that go into these projects. And then they don't, they'll get like cast and crew screenings, but like, let's get them out there. So that event and how they're letting indie films have their time is so important, and again, you go to those events, you make those connections, more projects come out of them because everyone's, networking. Oh my God, that is pretty much the name of the game when it comes to this industry, is network. And so more events like this is just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Okay. As we really wrap up here, I wanted to ask you, kind of bring it back full circle. Any tips you have for fellow hosts or people who are wanting to get into hosting? What would you some advice you would give to them?
I think hosting, it's one of those, okay, so you're going to start smaller, right? So it's not, and hosting is, it's a very niche area. I would say, first of all, go to events. You have to go to events, network, and meet people, because that's how almost every event I host, I'll meet someone and that'll be, oh, we saw you at this event. We'd love to hire you for this one. You've got to put yourself out there. I think it's important that you have a social presence. I'm going to be totally honest here. I don't like Instagram. I find it's time suck. But I have to say, when it comes to work and making connections, it's key. Get yourself on social media outlets, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm not a TikTok person. I feel like I've aged out of that kind of thing. I'm not on Facebook either, but you got to put yourself out there. People need to know what you do, that you're available. Put your work up there, because I think I've had a lot of people reach out saying, how do I get into hosting? Well, you have to be seen. You need to people to know what you do. So a lot of it is self promotion. And I know that's one thing I don't love to do, but that's what Instagram is for. It's reminding people, oh yeah, she does this. We should get her for this event. And I hate to say it, but since I joined Instagram, I've gotten so many more gigs because of it. So you've got to stay, I would say, top of mind, get to the events, network, business cards, let people know what you do. What else can I say about that? I would, network, social media, um, yeah, and word of mouth. Word of mouth. Just talk to your friends and just, there's no shame just saying, hey, just letting you know I'm doing this now. If you know of any people or connections, please feel free to refer me. That is word of mouth in this city especially is, I feel like, almost sometimes the number one way that you're going to get work.
Yeah. It's so funny. So many of my interviews lately, I feel, have involved networking and word of mouth and putting yourself out there. And it's no matter what aspect we're talking about, whether it is a small business owner, actor, singer, host, drag performer, like those are all what's so important. Like, I mean, unless you're a Nepo baby who, can just get that, which most of us aren't, you need to put the work in.
You do, Craig, and it's terrifying. And putting yourself out there is not easy. I just remember, this is crazy to admit, but I took my first acting class this past year, and you know why it took me so long? Because it's one thing to do a self-tape in your bedroom with reader. It's another to go into a room with a bunch of strangers and audition, get critiqued, get feedback in front of a group of people you don't know. And everyone's like, well, aren't you used to that? You're a dancer. I'm like, yeah, but that's a different. You're not being critiqued in front of a group of people, but in order to get to the next level, you have to be vulnerable and willing to take a lot of feedback, positive and negative. But if you don't put yourself out there, especially in this industry, it's not going to come to you. You have to want it. And that's how you weed out the people who are in it and the people who are just here hoping it works out. Because it's not an easy industry. We both know that. It's a grind. But if you love it, it is so worth it.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, this has been just the absolute best chatting with you today. I'm so excited and happy we finally got to do this. We're both very busy folks, so I'm glad that it worked out because you're just the best. Thank you so much.
Oh, Craig, thank you. Thank you so much. I know I've been trying to do this for ages, and I'm just so happy it worked out because you also just have this energy. I met you at that event, and it's so lovely, again, to connect and network with people. And this has been a pleasure talking with you. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anything you want to promote or can tell that people can look forward to for this year?
The only one I can really come out and talk about is got a documentary on menopause that'll be coming out in the fall. We're going to camera for the last time here in the spring, and it's going to be fantastic. Executive producer is Stacey London from What Not to Wear. Our host is Aisha Alpha from The Social, the Drew Barrymore Show. She's this amazing comedian. It's going to be a documentary on menopause, but it's going to be uplifting. It's going to be comedic. And the more and more women I talk to, and because they're dealing with it with their wives, it's just something that the world needs right now. A positive take on a subject that has gotten a bit of a negative note back in the day. So I'm really excited for that one to come out in the fall.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited to watch that and let everybody know about it. We'll make sure to mention that again as we get closer to that. But thank you again so much, Jenny. Thank you so much, Jenny, for being on the podcast. Check out her stuff if you're looking for a host. She's super fantastic, and stay tuned for more things with her, her menopause documentary in the fall. And yeah, you never know where she's going to pop up. So say hi to her when you do. And also wanted to mention that we talked about the Alberta Indie Film Throwdown. That is happening Valentine's Day. So depending on when you're listening to this episode, it's either in a few more days, today, or it just happened. So, tickets still available for that. It is pay what you can. It's going to be a lot of fun. Dallas and Jocelyn and I and a couple other people help run it, and Dallas and Jocelyn are just fantastic, and I love them so much. So it's been great teaming up with them. Make sure to follow me on social media at PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun ways to pass the time. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye.